technically was, but I was held up because my computer forgot what was going on today.
Sure. Yes. Excuses. If you are 5 minutes early, you're late.
And we are already fired up. It's the 4th and 1 podcast live from Lancaster Lidditz and Williamstown, Pennsylvania. That's right. The boys are back in town. I am today your host. Week 1 college football. My name is Simeon, aka with, as always, Captain Boring and not CFPB. At 3, it's Roberto himself. It's been a fun one. Micaiah was off last week. We had week 0 football. Upsets happened. Almost upsets happened. It was a full 4 games. We're looking forward to week 1, but before we get things going,
my name is Jeff.
We want to talk about the Jeff man himself. My name is Jeff. Connor Stallion's documentary. I don't even know what to call that. Micaiah, thank you for reminding me. Find us everywhere. 4th and 1 podcast. Unless you're on TikTok, then it's 4th and 1 pod. And like and subscribe. Stick around for the end where you're going to make your picks. And I'll let you know when. And comment down below who you're picking for week 1 on Spotify. Yes, you can comment on Spotify and the tubes themselves. Again, any subscriptions, likes, comments, they're good for us. Our channel is slowly growing, and it's good to see you guys, and we like to have fun and have fun with you. This channel is brought to you by you. So, Connor Stallions, my name is Jeff, man himself. Robert, you were talking to me a little bit about this today at work. It sounds like all of this was made up, and at the end of the day, we can blame the NCAA. Did not try to rhyme there.
Yeah, I mean, did either of you watch it?
No, I don't feel like watching that.
So it's actually put together very well. Of course, they put Dave Portnoy in there, which made
of course they
Let's
did.
go.
Yeah. I mean, so Dave, of course, there's one portion where Dave says that he physically talked to Connor and was like, was that you at Central Michigan? And apparently he says it was him. But everything that he said, like that Connor Science said and showed, like even parts of his manifesto, like it just seems like he did it like himself. Like it wasn't like, okay, now obviously it's like, oh, well, he says this, but the NCAA says this. But from everything that was on there, like there was like nothing really concrete that I would say, oh, he was 100% going outside of his means and videotaping everything else. And they brought up the fact that he bought like all these tickets and stuff like that, and that they have these videos of this guy sitting at like the 50-yard line, but yet they don't show those videos. So it's kind of like you're just going to videotape thousands of people and just say there's a guy in a hat with a cell phone.
So
he did say that he did get film, though, that some of the people did send him
some of his
videos.
I saw a quote and it said, yeah, some of my friends did send me film from games, but it wasn't anything that I didn't already have. And it's kind of like when grandma gives you a gift of something you don't really need. It's thanks, grandma, but I already had all the film that I needed. And he's still holding the line that he didn't advance scout.
Right. And he went and him and his lawyer, which his lawyer is super cool. His lawyer even says, I hate the NCAA. They're super corrupt, everything. I'm like, yep, you'd fit right on this podcast.
Connor Stallion's lawyer, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
But, like, they just go and, like, I guess Connor went and was like, yeah, I'll talk to the NCAA. The NCAA said, no, we will not talk in person. And they refused at first to talk to him. And then later on, they decided to do a Zoom meeting. And so he has met with them, and like, I just don't think there's enough concrete evidence to be like, oh yeah, this is like a huge issue. I just think it's a lot of, I like to call them the BTBs, the Big Ten babies, crying. You know, your Ohio States, your Michigan States, your pretty
James
much
Franklin.
everyone in the Big Ten that isn't Michigan, essentially.
No,
Because
just
I know,
James Franklin.
yeah,
No, not the fan base, just him.
right. Well, and it's, you know, and I know the keyboard warriors are going to be out, especially the Ohio State fans. Oh, you guys need to get over it. You're cheating. I'm just saying they gave Michigan their notice of allegations, and guess what? Michigan doesn't have to respond for 90 days. And what happens in 90 days? That's when Michigan goes and beats the piss out of Ohio State again. So after that game, they'll go ahead and say, "Okay, our lawyer will contact you."
We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch. Moving on, Micaiah. Right before we got on, you read me. I don't even have. How about this one?
Yikes.
That one's an old one.
Spicy.
A little spicy. The spring transfer window. The NCAA is thinking about getting rid of the spring transfer window, which I specifically didn't talk to you, but go ahead and say your bit before I give my 2 cents.
Spring transfer window. So transfer portal is open currently starting after the last regular or after conference championship game in December. That week, championship week, and it runs for 30 days thereafter. NCAA is proposing to eliminate then the additional 15-day window after spring ball or before spring ball, during spring ball, somewhere around there in the spring. Simeon reminds me that apparently on this podcast, we were all for getting rid of the spring transfer window and just having one transfer window. I am more of the feeling, well, just instead of having a 30-day window right after the season, have a 30-day window in the spring. But I will take it if I was on board with getting rid of the spring one and just keeping the winter one. Yeah. Finally, the NCAA is doing something. This is like 3 years after the fact. They should have had this in place before they opened up the transfer portal, but dollar late, dollar short, whatever the saying is.
Dollar bills, y'all, I believe.
Dollar bills. NCAA is just now catching back up. They're trying, but they're swimming against the riptide instead of swimming sideways. So,
listen, man, I'm trying.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this was my thought process. This is why we were against, or at least I was against the spring transfer window, because what happened, at least this spring, especially to Colorado, which, you know, good or bad, depending on who you look at. I'm sure this, you guys can still hear me, right? You both froze.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Just making sure.
We're still here.
We're still here. Was basically the spring games came around and kids didn't do too hot and then transferred. And I think that's quite frankly I don't know how to say this the right way. Sorry, Mom. It's a bitch move. It's like, you signed up, you committed to this, you got to get in, you got to work, you got to get better. You can transfer in the fall. I'm fine with that after the season, after you kind of know. But because the spring game, you come in, like, there were guys who came in, signed with a team for that spring game, you know, start early enrolled, or, you know, whatever the case may be, were freshmen, didn't do well in the spring game, and then decided to peace out after you had the fall. Or you didn't have to sign with this to begin with. Just because you're not getting playing time or it wasn't like what you did, that's on you. You want to be treated like an adult? That's on you. Makai, go ahead.
Don't we bring in this athletic water bottle to a podcast? This isn't a physical activity, my dude.
I'm not saying it's a physical activity, but it's like the only way I can bring like 32 fluid ounces of, it's actually like lemonade.
So it's not even water.
You make lemonade with water, bucko. I needed something that had a little more flavor in it.
Have you drank anything today? Yeah, there's water in the hot dogs. What is that from? That's from some like movie or TV show. But
I'll look it up.
Robert over here acting like an athlete with his Gatorade water bottle.
You just keep sucking on your straw, buddy.
Hey, dude.
Your
I'll
fake
show you how
Stanleys.
to. I'll show you how to.
Yeah.
I suck on my straw. Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
It's a Family Guy reference. There's juice in the hot dogs, is what
There
you're
it is.
thinking of.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It's what I do. I'm sometimes useless.
Well, Dick, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
And when I said useless, I meant useful.
But
But
not
you know,
even useful.
But it worked out. It actually worked out better.
It worked out better. Okay. Let's get into it. Week 0 was a hootenanny. We had 2 upsets of the 4 games. We had one team almost not make it to the state that they needed to play in. And we already have implications for the college football playoff, and it's not even September yet. So, who wants to go first? Because I think we know, and I texted you guys this, that after I watched Florida State and after I watched DJU, because no one wants to say ooey,
Ungalole.
thank you. He always helps me out with this. Georgia Tech surprised me, but they're not going to beat a Clemson or possibly in Miami. We'll see how Miami does when they play Florida. And we'll see how Clemson does. And FSU sure as heck isn't. They have a very large skills gap, which I was surprised with, even on their defense. The way Georgia Tech was able to... Oh, come on. I thought I had it right here. I wanted to use a white man.
You tried.
I tried. After they
failed.
let the epitome of a white dude walk down. Did you guys see? I don't know what their Georgia Tech's quarterback's name is. Did you see his pregame? Thank you. Oh, it's a white man. Is at the top, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Walk down the field twice on them, which was kind of yikes. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm happy to see someone else in the ACC. So anyway, Florida State, Georgia Tech not winning the ACC. Those are my thoughts. You guys actually had game stuff you wanted to talk about or something actually useful.
DJ Uyunglele, yeah, he has now tricked. This is his third coach into thinking that he is a NFL caliber quarterback. I would like to remind everyone, because I just found this out, that DJ Uyunglele was in the same recruiting class as one CJ Stroud, Rookie of the Year, Ohio State, never beat Michigan. Go blue. And CJ Stroud was the second ranked quarterback behind DJ. DJ was supposed to come in for Trevor Lawrence and be the next Trevor Lawrence at Clemson. He even played a game during the COVID season or right after the COVID season at Notre Dame where he threw for like 400 yards in a loss or something like that. However, that is, in hindsight, that was because Clemson just had really, really good wide receiver talent and weapons at the time on the perimeter. He's got to improve his deep passing. I remember in the first half, he had like 94 yards passing and but in terms of total air time, it was negative 0.1 yards. So he wasn't even throwing the ball down the field past the line of scrimmage. I don't know whether that's play call, whether that's what they're comfortable with. I've seen a lot of opinions on this. The big opinion that I've seen that I agree with, Robert, the floor is yours right after this, is this is what happens this is one of the dangers that you can fall into when you build your team in the transfer portal. New quarterback to the system, 2 new defensive ends that are studs, but they're new to the system. It just didn't look good. In terms of athletes, Florida State should have dominated, but Georgia Tech was a team together and just pounded them on the ground at both lines of scrimmage for 60 minutes.
You could say they penetrated their line of scrimmage.
Not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate.
Thank you.
First thing, is anything else like freezing for you guys?
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
you
Yeah.
were.
Okay.
Yeah, you were a few times. Yeah,
Yeah, because like everything froze for you guys, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Florida State got they just got outmanned. Georgia Tech pretty much they said we're the bigger men. We're gonna do what we need to do. We're gonna win this, and we're gonna do it essentially playing Michigan football and running it down your throat. They Florida State has to figure out how to throw a deep ball. DJ's got to figure out how to throw a deep ball, and it's kind of showing why DJ did not make it at Clemson the first time. So I don't know if like Florida State moved the ball okay. Their defense is not great at times, and at times they're okay. But overall, I just think they need. It's a good wake up call, I think, for them. But I don't see them.
Yeah, they're not
anything.
They're not out of the playoff by any means. This is what this new playoff format done. Even in the old playoff format, Florida State is not out of it with one loss. However, this game this weekend, Monday night, in Atlanta against Boston College becomes huge for them because now, again, in this new playoff format, you're not out of it, but now you're teetering because now you have to hope that your conference is good, that your non-conference shakes out and is half decent, because with 2 losses, you're right on that bubble. You're right where Ole Miss is, okay, according to Simeon. You're right where Ole Miss is. And 3, you're probably out altogether. So, Florida State fans, just keep doing this, and keep singing your song. But you need to get loud, and you need to make sure that they kind of run the table here.
I think Robert's points from last week kind of aligns here with what you just said, Micaiah, because it's like we could see a 3 or 4 loss team. You were talking about the Big 12. You can go look at the YouTube shorts, guys, if you want to understand more. We could be looking at a 3-loss, 4-loss team that's a conference champion that's ranked 4th. And yes, I do understand the college football playoff policy now. It does not make it any less dumb. Okay. I'm glad to hear it. Moving on.
I'm not confident you do understand the playoff format, but we'll move on anyway.
You want me to explain to you the playoff format?
No, just move on to C block.
I also can't read. No, I'm not done with the C block yet because I just want to let people know real quick what happened at the end of that. Montana State upset New Mexico. SMU came back to beat Nevada. That's why they were my dark horse for the ACC. No longer the case if you can't beat Nevada. However, Nevada did look good. They are now my pick for the Mountain West. You're welcome.
Well, it's hard to go on the road to an empty stadium where no one cares.
Yeah. 100%.
The announcers even were making fun of them. The announcers were like, people have
in week 0, nonetheless,
have been trickling in here in the third quarter. I think they all just got on their phones and realized that their hometown was playing today. No one realizes it's football season.
Do you know where that stadium is?
Reno, Nevada? No, I have no idea.
Oh, wait, sorry. I'm thinking of UNLV. UNLV's is like way out of town. So I don't even know where Reno. I know where Reno is.
I think anyway, the University of Nevada is in Reno.
It is in Reno.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's UN Reno. And Delaware State overcame showing up 2 days late to lose to Hawaii 14-35 in Honolulu.
Listen, I listened to your guys' podcast and last week, and I didn't know this. So when you guys were talking about it, I was Googling it. I even posted something on Instagram, like a follow-up, anything that I could find about it. There's, maybe, there we go. There's our Instagram for everyone.
4th and 1 podcast.
Yeah, that's a wild story. But here's another fun fact. All 4 underdogs on Saturday covered the spread. That includes Delaware State and Hawaii.
Delaware State, a notorious 1-win team in 2023. Also, in case you wanted to know, an HBU school. Just a fun fact there for you. Okay, now I like that transition a lot better. We're going to go and move on. It's week 1. It's real big football. We're about to have fun. We're about to lock in. This all starts now. I have to remind people because I have to remind myself. So we got games Thursday night. Starts 6 p.m. And ends at 10 p.m. and that ranges on a variety of different networks. We got Minnesota and North Carolina that game. These are games we're not covering this week. Rutgers is leading us off. They're taking on Howard. In Illinois, Utah is also plays, as does Missouri and Kansas. Those are the ranked teams that I thought you guys should know about. Friday, again, teams we're not covering. Army's taking on Lehigh. Just a fun fact for you, because Navy's taking on Bucknell. That, again, more fun fact because I read up on this for some reason. Army and Navy in all sports besides football are in the same conference, if I'm remembering correctly, as Lehigh and Bucknell. So they're playing non-conference conference games. Just thought that was a fun little fact there for you. Oklahoma is playing 7 p.m. They take on Temple, which if Micaiah's Oklahoma team in the dynasty, they will almost get blown out.
No, they'll be trailing by 10 starting in the fourth quarter. There's a difference.
Sorry. There is a difference. And then Saturday
Figure it out.
is when a lot of things happen. See, he gets it, and I can't even find my figure it out. Lots of the good games happen, and we go into Sunday and even Monday, thank you, on Memorial Day. But we'll go ahead and start at the top. This is locked in. It's the ABC and ESPN Plus game. It's the rivalry in the Georgia Dome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Number 14 Clemson goes on the road to number 1 Georgia, and this is going to be the battle of the defense. We got UGA 13.5 favorites. Over-unders 48.5. I don't know who wants to talk about this first. This is a good way to start your weekend. 12 p.m.
It's a great way for ESPN to kick off their SEC coverage, owning the exclusive rights to the SEC conference. So good on them. They picked a great game. I believe that this is a neutral site game. If I am right there.
It's at Mercedes-Benz.
It's at Mercedes-Benz. So actually, it's a home game for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Great.
Put it in air quotes. It's technically a neutral site game.
Dude, there was a gnat in my ear buzzing, dude. Okay, just
it was someone telling you you're a little bitch. Okay,
go back to your waddle bottle. Go back to your waddle bottle.
Water booty.
Tell you what, Micaiah, why don't you just go ahead and tell me why Georgia's going to win this game by more than 13.5 points?
Hey, Robert, why don't you just get your little athletic water bottle out and maybe run some stairs, okay, and work off that lemonade?
Listen, I'm trying to get some content for the people here, and you're just over here just wobble. Just tell me why they're going to win by more than 13.5. We know it's for show.
Stairs. Robert, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're toast, dude.
Yeah. I weigh more than Micaiah's entire bottom, body. Do some stairs.
You weigh more than my whole body, you doofus.
Well, yeah, your whole body, your bottom body, 3 of you. Put you and Simeon together, I still weigh more than yous.
There you go. There you go. You figured it out. You got there. Georgia is a they are a pissed off SEC team with most of their defense returning and their starting quarterback returning. So, Robert, as you said, I don't know that this will end close, but I fully expect Clemson to be fired up, ready to go, and try to take some pride in how their season went last year, which was 4-4. They won the last 4 down the stretch, and then they won their bowl game in comeback fashion. Cade Klubnik's got to be better, though, than what he was last year because he was downright awful, and Garrett Riley's got to be a little more creative trying to run the football or throw the football or whatever Garrett Riley does. It needs to be a little more like Lincoln and a little less like Sonny Dykes because Georgia's seen that offense before, and it was a 60-point blowout in the national championship game just 2 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know if I'm supposed to go
yeah,
do some more
yeah,
stairs, or if I need to come
yeah,
back.
you're supposed.
Or...
Yeah, well,
I'm
you
not
weren't.
sure.
You didn't even leave yet.
Hey,
you didn't even leave
no.
yet.
Well, no, I'm still trying to figure out how to get out of my chair. But so, my envision for this game is exactly how USC and Alabama was in the kickoff games, where USC is
Oh,
like all
sure.
fired up, ready to
Yeah,
go. They're
yeah,
going to do this. USC is supposed to have a big year. I'm expecting the same with Clemson and potentially end up the same way it did in Simeon's dynasty.
do
Yeah.
do you well,
That was a
okay, oh, okay.
38-14 loss for those of you, and I
48
was
to
Clemson.
14 loss, which means take Georgia, the points, and the over.
Clemson though, for their struggles last year, and you could be right. Absolutely, you could be right. But for all Clemson's struggles last year, their defense wasn't that terrible. Their defense was actually pretty good. So I just be, and Georgia again, new running back, new weapons on the outside, new tight end, all of that. So like, how quickly does that gel? I think if this was a week 6 game against Georgia, yeah, absolutely. I'd be like, absolutely take Georgia. But I think Clemson's defense can keep them in the game a little longer than that.
Well, if they keep them in the game, what it'll end up being is Georgia's up 7 at half. Georgia gets the ball after halftime, scores, and now it's just a 14-7 race back, and Georgia just wins by 14, if not 17.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'll allow it.
That was actually going to be my point that I was going to make, but then I realized that this is mostly your guys' segment because you're smarter than me. Okay, I want to actually bounce over. I'm sorry. This is the most expensive ticket on Thursday night. It is an 8 p.m. game on ESPN. For those of you keeping track, we have three let me make sure, 3 $2 games on Thursday night, all at 8 p.m. But it is North Dakota State, the Bison, going down to not Colorado Springs. I'm sorry, Boulder, Colorado. Thank you, to take on Colorado and the Buffalo. Yes, those are the same mascots. So this is a mascot duel that we're going to have. Not really, but technically. Colorado is favored -10, and the only reason we're bringing this up is because we have, for 2 reasons. One, North Dakota State is a better FCS team than Montana State, and 2, we love to hate on Colorado. So I don't know who wants to take this first.
Hate when it's true.
We really haven't said anything other than the fact that we've enjoyed making fun of them. To be fair,
we haven't said anything that was wrong about Colorado
guys,
either.
Also, to be fair,
we need to be careful, or we will be banned from asking Dion questions.
Case in point,
at his press conference.
The dude wants to be the big prime time, but yet anyone goes to answer him a question about why his team is just garbage, why they're only going to win maybe 6 games this year, and everyone's going to go, oh, well, it's an improvement from 4 games. And it's like, yeah, but it's only 6. You're in a new conference, a weaker conference, might I add. And you're only going to win 6 games? And you very well could lose your first game to North Dakota State. I don't think they're going to lose their game, though. Colorado...
Oh, but you'll know they'll make it close.
Well, Colorado and North Dakota State is going to be close in the first half. But I think Colorado is going to pull away, and it'll be because Travis Hunter does something
super cool.
Yeah. He'll do something we've never seen in football before, like an interception. Or he'll catch a touchdown pass, and it's like, the guy is the greatest player ever. And that's essentially what's going to happen. One of those 2 things is going to happen, just kind of puts them ahead a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to see how North Dakota State is now that they don't have their head coach from last year, who now is at USC.
Yeah, bingo.
Assistant
Circle gets the square.
Assistant head coach and defensive line assistant, I think, too. It's a weird, yeah. Anyway.
I just put this game on here because we all know about Shedeur and Travis and whoever else makes up that team, I guess, really. I mainly put this game on here because a lot of eyeballs will be watching this game. Let's not get that wrong, okay? Everyone and their mother, including myself, including Robert, don't kid yourselves, will be tuning in 8 p.m. Eastern, ESPN, to watch this game, at least in the first half, right? At least until things get out of the way.
Just nothing else is on.
As the game goes, I expect CU eventually to pull away, but they're breaking in a brand new offensive line, like all 5 starters, a brand new defensive line, a brand new, like their entire team outside of Hunter and Shador are all brand new because of how last season ended.
I looked this up. Technically, they're breaking in also a new offensive coordinator. It's Pat Shurmur.
Pat Shurmur, and they're breaking in a new defensive coordinator.
And Robert Livingston, both from the NFL.
Yeah, so I saw a clip today on the interwebs. It was from ESPN's radio show Unsportsmanlike I Get, where they actually had Sean Keeler on to talk about it. Sean Keeler said he actually spoke very highly of Colorado. He was like, listen, Colorado has a team. They have a squad. If they can put it together, they are going to just outmatch people's expectations for them. But he says the big word that he would use to describe the culture at Colorado currently, from head coach to player 105, is fear. Deion's fearful that he's now going to be exposed that he's fake. The whole offensive and defensive staff are fearful that if they don't get it done this year, they're going to be gone just like last year. The offensive line feels that way because of what happened last year. Defense, the whole 9 yards. So if this game is a 3-point win by Colorado, anything less than 17 points or cover the spread, whatever it is, 10
and a half.
I think
10. Just 10, sorry.
Those conversations do not go away, and Deion's going to get very frustrated, and he needs to be very careful how he handles the media, because he then could be the one who self-destructs this thing this year, because I think that there is some potential outside shot for them to win 8 games this year.
PSU West Virginia. We're going down to Morgantown, where the Fighting Pat McAfees. Micaiah, is this your pick for the Big 12? Or you have them up there?
No, I have Oklahoma State, but yeah, West Virginia I have up there, but I have Oklahoma State.
You were high on West Virginia last year. You would love to remind us that they went 9-4.
Yep.
They're hosting the Nittany Lions, who are, most people would agree, including probably Nittany Lions fans, if I actually bothered to ask any of them, overranked at number 8. And they're coming into a season where their head coach is going, we're not going 10-2. It's going to be hard to do, dude, with this conference. This is a good game for them to start with. I'll give them credit. This is going to be a challenge for them. Makai, you're laughing. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because I remember in Jeff Fisher's last season, they were on Hard Knocks, and he's like, I'm not going 8-8 again, and they end up going 6-10. So, yeah, they didn't go 8-8.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't go 8-8.
Listen, West Virginia, Neil Brown, you got your contract extension. You're bringing back all these starters. Your quarterback's coming back, Garrett Green. You got 2 of the best running backs in all of the country. Yes, I know what Ohio State has. West Virginia's got 2 dudes, 2,000-yard rushers, both coming back. You got the number 8 team in the country, at home, at noon, all eyeballs, or at least half America's eyeballs will be on you, because nothing else is on at noon besides Georgia and Clemson. Nothing else is in your time slot. Make it happen now.
Hey. Maryland and UConn are on. Thank you
Maryland
very much.
and UConn are on there.
On FS1.
Listen, I don't know what the spread is, because I kind of just overlooked this game.
Penn State -8.
-8, 51.5.
I'm getting a Georgia Tech FSU feeling here. I would take the Mountaineers, and pick section's neck and D block, and I don't want to mess up Simeon's thing because he worked really hard at this. So, but
it took me 5 minutes to think of this idea.
I think West Virginia has the ability to shock some people, including Penn State.
I think this game could be the best game of the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially. And unfortunately, it'll be overshadowed by Clemson and Georgia, just because
SEC, Clemson, yeah.
Yeah, and ESPN, we know how they are with the SEC.
Sucking straws.
Yes, absolutely. Deep straws.
Squirting bottles
and sucking straws. But, I mean, If West Virginia wants to be a real contender this year, they have to beat Penn State.
Yeah.
If Penn State wants to stay relevant, whether it's the Big Ten or just for playoff sake, they need to beat West Virginia. As much as it's not a playoff implications game for both of these teams, it very much is. If Penn State loses to an unranked West Virginia team early, boy, does that look bad come at the end. If West Virginia runs their table and beats a number 8 Penn State early in the season, man, does that look good on that resume?
What, can I ask you a question just real quick?
Yeah, go for it. Let me hear
it. Who does it look worse on? West Virginia loses close. Let's just say 4-point game. They had the ball last, threw a last second pick or something like that, right? Does it look worse on Penn State or does it look worse on West Virginia?
Any scenario where the game is close looks bad for Penn State because you are the number 8 team and this game is an unranked matchup. Any scenario that it's close and or a win for West Virginia obviously looks good. The only way West Virginia really looks bad in this is if West Virginia just goes out there and lays like a giant egg.
What they did in Happy Valley last year.
Yeah, it just gets manhandled, just puts up only 7 and Penn State puts up 35. If they keep it close and then they finish with 2-3 losses, I mean 3 maybe not so much, but 2, like they could squeak in at like an 11. Maybe because it's like, they lost to Penn State, but it was by 3. The part that would hurt the most is the fact that West Virginia is at home. So losing at home by 3 is a lot worse than losing on the road by 3.
I think we also have to factor in here the week 1 bias. These games are going to be close, first game heated. So I don't know how much we're going to care about losing. I don't know. It could go either way when we get to week 12 and we look back and we go, okay, well, they lost to West Virginia at West Virginia by 3. Who knows? Or beat them by 3.
Well, yeah.
Sort of
and
situation.
If week 12 rolls around and West Virginia is ranked in the top 10, it's kind of like, okay,
yeah, 100%.
It's a totally different topic, totally different thing. But if West Virginia goes and they're fighting to get into the playoffs, and it's like, well, they beat Penn State, and Penn State goes and is like 6-6, 7-5. And they're outside the top 25, it's like, okay, that really wasn't as big of a win as what you think it was.
Unless if they're 5-4 and ranked in the top 25 like they were in the college football season.
Yeah, they still rank better than what Simeon is.
Wow. That's pretty racist, but correct.
Miami, Florida. This is a Florida rivalry. SEC, ACC, the U. Robert, in the dynasty, number 2, only behind Micaiah, numero uno, in Oklahoma. By the way, Oklahoma, Temple's going to Oklahoma, minus 42.5. Do you think Oklahoma's going to cover that?
Yes.
Okay, I think so too.
It should.
So, like I said, we're going to find out what time is this game.
3:30.
It's
3:30.
So we're going to know who's going to win the ACC, in my opinion, at 6 p.m. on Saturday evening.
Okay.
So my question for you guys, right? Because Miami, if Miami comes out and shellacks them, even if they beat them, Florida, right? Is that a Texas we're back situation? Or is that a Florida you need to fire your head coach now situation?
I was literally going to start off my spiel on this, and I will answer your question by this. No matter how this game ends up, this game says more about Florida than it does Miami.
Oh, okay.
If Florida blows out Miami, okay, maybe Florida's good. Maybe Florida's actually pretty good. Miami's just pretty bad. Florida loses close. Hey, Florida's got a little bit of a squad here. Florida gets blown out by Miami. Oh, hey, guess what? Florida's just really trash again. Yeah. This game has nothing to do with the Hurricanes, which is a shame because the Hurricanes have the potential with the new transfers coming in Robert, I'll let you talk about that since you're more familiar with them. But with all the transfers coming in, to have a really good season, especially in the ACC with how week 0 went, especially. But this, no matter how this game ends up, we will be talking about Florida next week on the podcast, not Miami.
Yeah, it's Miami's game to lose. But Miami has a very, I don't want to say good, a very stout offense and defense for this year. They have a lot of returning starters. Like, from what I've seen about Miami, like Cam Ward, starting quarterback, Damian Martinez, Xavier Restrepo, like they have a pretty good offense, and defensively they have a very solid end, that Bain or whatever his name is. But they were touting about him for a while too. If Florida can somehow win this game, I think these are the kind of games that, even though it's like an early game, this could propel Florida. Does it mean that if they win, they're going to go undefeated? No. It means that they could win this game, carry that momentum for a couple of weeks to where, hey, we should have been 1-3, but now we're 2-2. Now we're 3-1. Like, we could totally flip the script with a game like this, where Miami wins the game, and it's like, okay, on to next week. The spread's like 2.5 minus 2.5 for Miami, so I would definitely take that. Just saying.
Robert, to your point, Miami returning 12 starters. Their defense last year was only 46th in the country, which is not bad. That's top 50. Florida, though, returning 15 guys. Their defense was downright awful. Allowed 33.5 points per game and 6.5 yards per play. So
we watched it.
Gotta tighten that up. Yeah, absolutely.
We watched
Utah.
Them play Utah, and that was a miserable game to watch.
Yeah. And I remember that the next morning, I was like, well, what do we know? And we're just like, well, Utah really should have blown them out. And
Graham Mertz can't throw.
And Graham Mertz can't throw. Couldn't at Wisconsin, can't in the SEC.
Sorry.
That's your turn, bud.
Sorry, Mom.
Figured
I don't know. That's just that one. Okay, where game day is headed. We're headed down to College Station, and I feel like this is going to be very similar to Florida Miami vibes, because we're going to find out these are two teams, to me, who have the most to prove this season. I think there are a lot of teams that have a lot to prove, but if you're an A&M fan, this is going to be another year of, you fired your coach, you paid him a lot of money to get out of there, you backed up the Brinks truck to fire a dude, and you brought in somebody who I personally didn't think was your best hire in Mike Elko, to hopefully turn it around for one of the richest schools, one of the largest schools. And then you have a second-year coach, and I'm forgetting his name, and you'll have to forgive me, in Notre Dame, who started off the season hot, and then, what were they, 9-4 last year? No, that's not how math works. I'm sorry, 9-3 last year.
I think they finished 8-4 last year. It's Mark. Okay. His name's Marcus Freeman.
Thank you.
And he's entering now his third season. Yes,
already
been 3.
That just kind of proves my point.
He's 19-17 in his 2 previous seasons. Simeon, I'm going to kind of disagree with you. I think A&M fans, this is not a prove-it year for A&M. You get 1 year. Mike Elko has done a beautiful job he's going to do a beautiful job of trying to instill culture. You don't build culture in a single season. You can build a better team in a single season, but you don't build culture in a single season. He gets this season of quiet A&M fans as long as he's competitive, and that team is competitive, and I really expect them to be, even in losses to the big boys. I think he'll be fine this season. This is more about Notre Dame. And Robert would agree with that. And I loved your guys' piece and take about how Notre Dame should be in a conference and how they should only be no higher than 12 or whatever. I laughed at that. It was very lovely. But Notre Dame, 9 returning starters, but they're bringing in a transfer quarterback in Riley Leonard, who is super good, who was super good for Mike Elko at Duke. This defense was 8th in points per game last year, and they're returning 2 All-Americans, 1 on the defensive line, 1 in the back secondary. Notre Dame, like, don't be surprised if Notre Dame goes in there and kind of manhandles an SEC team. I would not be surprised at that. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M does the same thing to Notre Dame and ekes out a 4-point win at home.
I think A&M wins this game. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if it's just because they're going to be at home and they just get that 12th man going. I just don't trust Notre Dame because all last year, all we kept saying is, what is Notre Dame doing? Who are they? What is their... You didn't know anything about them because every week in, week out, it was like a different team being out there. Now, are they going to finally figure out what they are? Maybe. But with a transfer quarterback coming in, who, I mean, Mike Elko knows him best. Mike Elko's going to know, hey, Riley Leonard likes to do, he has certain tendencies. That could be something that comes into play. I don't want to say he's going to be stealing signs or anything, but I don't know. I think it should be a very good game. And I think we're going to see if Texas A&M is still Texas A&M that can't win really big games except against Alabama kind of every other year. Or are we going to see Notre Dame, who is finally going to be this promising, prominent, top-tier college that they keep being touted as? But, I mean, the spread's -3 for A&M. Like, that's a hard one not to take.
That's got to be
on either side.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be just because of College Station. Like, College Station is a tough place to play, but new coach, new system, and the fact that Notre Dame's only returning like 6 starters or something like that. They're returning 9. So, and 5 of them are on defense. So offense has got to kind of pick up a little bit there.
Also, like, A&M does have like such a great defense this year, like that Mike Elko.
Oh yeah, solid,
stubborn,
sound.
That kind of defense. That would be.
Mike Denbrock comes in from LSU, the offensive coordinator. So expect Notre Dame's offense to maybe open up a little bit than what it had been in the previous 2 years.
You like that? You like that?
This is the Sunday game, I believe.
It is.
If I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. Sunday, 7:30 in a neutral site game. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Theo Von's going to be doing a comedy show on Saturday. So if you're there, just throwing that out there, maybe go see some comedy. He's there for the game. USC at LSU. LSU is currently favored. This is Brian Kelly's, I guess it would be his 3rd year at LSU, post Heisman winning quarterback. Again, a team that, because of how good the SEC is, has kind of snuck under the radar for one reason or another. That was a really good hire, I remember thinking, when they were able to get him. USC coming in ranked 23, kind of embarrassed last year, if I do say so myself. High expectations, nowhere near them. At the end of the season, they lost the one game, and I'm forgetting who it was to, and then they kind of gave up for the rest of the year. Obviously had defensive problems, restructured that defensive coaching staff, like we said, brought in a new assistant head coach, defensive guy from North Dakota State. This is going to be a high-flying game. I'm taking the over on the 64.5. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, this is who has done a better offseason job of revamping their defense, because both teams were just, oh my goodness, so awful last year. Just to put it into perspective, LSU was 106th in total yards, 81st in points per game, 118th in passing yards, and 87th in rushing. So they didn't even crack the top 75 and barely even the top 100 in any major statistical defensive category. So new staffs have come in. DeAnthony Lynn coming in from UCLA to USC. LSU brought in the defensive coordinator from Missouri. He brought him in. So who's going to fix the defense? All I'm hearing from Joe Klatt and a whole bunch of other USC guys is that Miller Moss is going to play within the structure of Lincoln Riley's offense, which is what got Caleb Williams into trouble last year. So they say. All I know is Lincoln Riley is going to figure out a way to score at least 28 points in a game. Can his defense keep them under? Simeon, your over, taking the over is exactly what you should do in this game if you are betting on this. I'm just really excited to watch some football go down, but this also will say a lot because Lincoln Riley said, yes, we got bigger at the line of scrimmage to compete with the Big Ten and compete for titles. This is a great test because no matter how bad that defense was for LSU last year, they're still an SEC defense. They're still the cream of the crop athletes.
Blake Baker is the guy's name, defense coordinator for LSU. Actually coming back from, got fired by Brian Kelly, and he's coming back to LSU. Did not know that. Fun fact. Robert.
If USC cannot beat LSU, they are... What?
I just saw your name thing.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah. If they can't beat LSU, they're not going to beat Penn State. They're not going to beat Michigan. They're not going to beat Ohio State. That's kind of because they're not built the same, but it's like the same, almost the same presence. I am glad that this game, being a neutral site game, is actually a neutral site game.
Yeah.
An SEC team stepping out of their environment, behind the pearly gates of ESPN. They're actually going to step out Allegiant Stadium. The game should be a shootout because LSU's defense, they are better than USC's, but how much better, I'm not 100% sure because both teams are known to give up some kind of gaggle of points. But I think LSU's offense might be just a little bit better. So, yeah, the over, definitely cool with that. It's LSU minus 4.5. Yeah, I would take that. I mean, we're going to find out if USC's ready to play football this year or if they just want to kind of ride the popularity scale by being in Los Angeles.
Killing me, Smalls.
I'll take it. Makai, you put this one in here. I meant to start with this one. This is the Monday night game on Labor Day, 7:30 ESPN. We're in Doak Campbell Stadium, favored by 15.5. We're going to see, I think we have to call them at this point, instead of the Eagles or the Golden Eagles as they're actually known as, I think they're the Fighting Bill O'Briens now. Boston College, going down to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. Bill O'Brien is a good coordinator. I don't know if he's going to be calling plays, but we'll see what FSU can do if they can bounce back. I'm interested to know why you wanted to preview this game.
Just because it now becomes a big game for Florida State. Again, not out of it, but with how you looked last week, and now you're coming back home, you're going to be the only game again that people are watching in your time slot. I don't know how you lucked out to do that, but thankfully you are at home, you said, right? This game is in Tallahassee. It is in Doak Campbell. You now have week 0 and week 1, so your first 2 games, you are the only game playing in your time slot. So best of luck if you lose this one, because people are just, Mike Norvell, you might be fired by week 3, and I'm not even kidding you. So, so FSU, you got to show up. You got to beat BC. Do whatever it takes.
Sorry.
Go steal some signs. Go hire Connor for the weekend. Do what you got to do. Win this game.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, Robert, before you get in. Will Lawing, he's from Boone, North Carolina, went to North Carolina, was a wide receiver. Of all places, Juniata College is where he served after, from 2009 to when he was a graduate assistant at Penn State in 2013, and then rode Bill O'Brien's coattails to where he got an offensive coordinator job. Literally, he was at Houston, Alabama, New England, tight end coach last year, and now he's at Boston College. So that's who his offensive coordinator is, for those of you who care. Robert, is your dog dying or just wants attention?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, cool. Glad to know. Yeah, what do you think of this game, Robert?
I mean, it's put up or shut up for Florida State. You went and it was, woe was me, we didn't make the playoffs. People thought they should have been in, people didn't think they should have been in, back and forth. And then you follow that up with dropping a loss to Georgia Tech. So, and I can almost guarantee that Boston College is probably going to be more physical than what Georgia Tech was. Boston College is always a very physical team. So if you cannot win at home against Boston College, you might as well just tell your coach, hey, that NIL deal, you might as well rip that up, because I got to jump in the old transfer portal because this ship has sunk.
Yeah, Boston College returning 15 starters, even on each side of the ball. And Robert, to your point, Georgia Tech was first in the conference last year in rushing yards per game. Boston College was 14th in the entire country in rushing yards per game. So your point is 100%. Boston College is going to go in there and try to push you around again, especially after what Georgia Tech just showed they just do to you. You better man up.
Yeah, all Georgia Tech did was they just had that the most picturesque looking linebacker you could ever have.
Oh, yeah. Quarterback run,
beautiful.
too. Quarterback run, too. And Thomas Castellanos for Boston College. I watched him in one game. It was just so happened to be the Florida State game. What did he burn them on again and again? The quarterback run. So it's Florida State's either going to have a huge problem after this game, both not even the outlook, but just with their defense, or they're going to be able to figure some things out. So I'm excited for that one.
So real quick, just something that I found interesting before we move on to the pick section, brought to you by you guys, the fans. Just real quick, we already knew this, but I found this interesting. I'm on the Wikipedia page for the 2024 Division I football season, because that's the type of nerd that I am. And I didn't know this, but with, of course, the news that Pitbull purchased the naming rights to FIU Stadium. This is under the stadium section.
There was another one.
There was another one?
Someone else bought rights.
Okay, well, we're going to look that up next before we get into the picks. I didn't know that that Northwestern was playing 2 games at Wrigley Field this year.
Yeah, that's because of the situation.
Because of their stadium, but I didn't know I thought all their games were going to be at Martin Stadium. And then I knew that they weren't playing. I thought they were playing like a home game or so. They're not playing any home games. The Kansas Jayhawks are playing at the NSWL Children's Mercy Park, and 4 home games at Arrowhead Stadium. I didn't know they were playing them in Arrowhead.
Yeah, because they're redoing their stadium. I only found out recently that the Kansas City Chiefs weren't even in Kansas. They're actually in Missouri.
Missouri. It was a big thing that they announced over the preseason that Kansas, it's like a $500 million package in tax benefits if the Kansas City Chiefs move back to Kansas over Missouri. So there you go. Move to Kansas anyway, because it's Kansas City. It's one of those border things. Kansas has Kansas City and St. Louis that are kind of on the border. Anyway, not Kansas, Missouri. Anyway, okay.
You had one, Joe. Just the one.
Go ahead. Naming rights.
Texas State, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Who bought the naming rights for Texas State?
UFCU, which is University Federal Credit Union, 15-year, $23 million.
Oh, okay. Well, another bank.
Which for that college, I mean that's a
That's a big
substantial
deal.
amount.
Yeah,
Heck, Montana State got paid $350,000 to go beat New Mexico.
Yeah. Which they were ranked in the FCS. They were ranked, I think, 4th or something like that.
They might be ranked 1 now.
They might be
unless
ranked
North
1.
Dakota State takes care of Colorado.
Very possible. I always just remember back in the day when the rumor was that M&M Mars would have paid for a brand new football stadium in E-Town High School. But for some reason, like brand new, as long as they named it M&M Mars Stadium, and for some reason the E-Town School Board didn't want it. I've always wanted to know if that rumor was true or not, or what the deal actually was, because it sounds right, but who the heck knows? That's just a little local legend there for you. Okay. Let's go to, I don't know. That one's gonna hurt. Okay, so pick section is in 2 parts this year. We will be doing all the games that we previewed for you. We will also be picking, as well as the big one will be our locks of the week, which we will get there once we get there. I have no real big reason for doing this, and since I'm already at the bottom of the page, we're actually going to start with Monday, 7:30. Again, this is in Tallahassee. FSU's 15.5-point favorites over Boston College. I'm going to take Florida State to get the job done. However, I will take Boston College plus the points on this one. Micaiah, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Florida State. I'm going to say Florida State rebounds. They do a great job. They figure out the run game again. They man up. They're at home. Florida State.
Yeah, we're going Boston College plus 15.5 with the under of 50.5. Yeah, give me Boston College.
So who's the outright winner? You're picking Boston College?
No, Florida State's going to be the outright winner.
Okay.
But Boston College is going to get the.
So he's giving Robert's also giving you the points there. Again, since I'm at the bottom of the schedule page on ESPN.com. Makai, by the way, I'm pretty sure this stuff doesn't show up. It only would show up if we live stream.
Well then never mind.
On our screen, which is nice. I love it. He's putting it in. Neutral site game, USC, LSU. LSU is a 4.5-point favorite. I'm gonna take LSU. I don't know how close it's gonna be though, but I'm gonna just take LSU. Micaiah.
I am going to also take LSU. Lincoln Riley was trying to get out of this game back in the spring, summertime, which for not because he's scared of playing them, just because he doesn't want a tough non-conference game. I think LSU, they're just an SEC team. I'm taking the SEC team.
Yep. Yeah. Give me LSU.
All right. That makes all 3 of us. College Station. Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Excuse me while I scroll up to find this game. I don't even know what time this game is. That's the annoying part.
7:30.
Thank
Saturday.
you. We didn't even talk about Michigan taking on Fresno State at all this podcast. So
we
you're
don't
welcome.
Talk about it.
Robert's obviously taking against Michigan there. That game's on NBC for those of you who care. But the game we care about right now is on ABC. Texas A&M is 3-point favorites right now, over under 46.5. Ooh. I don't know. Makai, we're going to start with you, actually.
I'm actually going to I am going to take ND. I'm going to take Notre Dame to go down there, muscle up Marcus Freeman in a hostile environment. He's trying to Elko's trying to get his feet under him there at A&M. I don't think it's a bad start. I think it's a very competitive game, close game, but I'd like ND to go down there and get a big time dub.
Robert.
I'm going to go with Texas A&M. I'm going to go with Elko getting, just for that first win, getting that, because it would be a nice big staple win. We're going to go with the second upset of the year. So Yeah, I just like A&M at home.
That's fine. You can do that and be wrong. I agree. I think the not that Mike Elko's a bad coach, but I think it's going to be a different. I get we're in College Station. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Notre Dame is going to beat this one, win this one out. I'm going to take Notre Dame. Makai, you good there? You're looking around like you saw ghosts.
Dude, it's this gnat. He keeps crawling on me, and I need Robert to figure out how to do stairs and come bring his water bottle over here and try to squirt this thing for me.
Yo, tell you what, bud, ain't happening.
All right, we're going to go down to the Bayou, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Gainesville. Miami is favored 2.5 points. I'm going to take the underdog here. I'm going to take Florida. Why? No reason. I think they're going to get it done, and I just don't believe in Miami. I think Miami is the constant locale for me.
They confirm this game is in the swamp. This isn't neutral site.
It's in Gainesville, which is the swamp.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I figured it was just a neutral site game. Listen, I have no reason to do this besides Billy Napier's been beat up, and Simeon, he's got to be right about coaches because, man, he was right about Lance Leipold, and he said Billy Napier was going to get it done at Florida. And Miami is just Miami. They just find ways to lose big games. They have for the past decade and a half. I'm also going to take Florida at home. Close game. Florida.
Robert.
Miami. You know, you guys saying about me being wrong. You know what? You two want to be wrong. You two be wrong. Ain't nothing hot in Florida except for the women. Give me Miami.
Well, and the weather.
Well, the weather was kind of a given. I didn't know which one to choose, the weather or the women. It was kind of like, meh.
And then sometimes the coffee itself. Texas, for those of you who care, just so we're not picking them, favored 32 points against Colorado State. So that's just
Colorado to cover that, by the way.
Colorado State, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to scroll up to the 2:12 p.m. games that we have on ours. PSU is favored. The Penn State University is favored by -8, so by 8 points. Weird line for there. These are the favorites by ESPN Bet, by the way, for those of you who care. In Morgantown on Fox, it's the big noon kickoff. Micaiah, you believe in West Virginia. I don't. Watch me be wrong. If this is the year that Penn State finally puts it together, this is just like Michigan last year. I don't think they have the same coach. I don't think they're going to put it together. But if this is the year, off of that, I'm going to take Penn State because it's going to be this year. So I'm going to take Penn State, but I'm going to take West Virginia to cover. I think this is a 3-point game.
I am going to take... I have no faith in West Virginia, so I'm actually going to also take Penn State here.
Wow, Makai, we've been very similar in our picks.
Yep. Yeah, it worries me. It worries me a lot.
Same. Oh, Robert's having a hard time. I see that face.
He wants to take West Virginia because we both took Penn State, but he's like...
Because essentially the easy slam dunk take would be, take Penn State, like they're going to... But Penn State sucks on the road. Give me West Virginia.
All right.
Let's go. WVU. That brings us down south to the neutral site game that is Clemson, Georgia. UGA -13.5 favorites. Guys,
let's just do it this way. Anyone who's not taking Georgia...
2, 3.
Georgia. Okay.
Yeah, Clemson.
Great.
So yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold the brakes. Hold on. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Dude, there's no way you're taking... Are you actually taking Clemson?
I'm taking Clemson to win this game. Okay,
All
so
right, great.
here's my thought process. I'm going to walk you through it since I let you guys talk.
That's flawed.
Yeah, and I'll make you... Yeah. I get that Georgia's pissed off, but if there's someone who's pissed off more, it's Dabo Swinney. And I get that this is like a perfect Dabo Swinney game for them. It's away, basically. It's a big game. They have a very good defense. They're not me playing offense. They're not going to go throw 3 picks that they shouldn't have thrown. You know?
God for
Yeah,
that.
come on. Is right. Yeah. So I think this game's gonna be close, and my gut for some reason is telling me to pick Clemson in this game. They'll fall off the cliff all the other ones, but for some reason this is gonna be like a 10-1 Georgia team, and it's gonna be a loss to Clemson. That's it.
It's going to be a loss to 6-6 Clemson.
It's a 6-6 Clemson in I don't even know where we're picking this game. A 6-6 Clemson in the dynasty. That's what I win. I'm taking on PSU in the Holiday Bowl. Haven't been able to figure them out yet. Practiced for like an hour last night. Nope. Okay. Thursday night,
That's awesome.
8 p.m. ESPN. North Dakota State probably is getting paid to go to Colorado. Colorado's favored by 10. Take NC State, ND State to cover for sure. Are you guys picking Colorado here? Because there's a part of me who wants to pick North Dakota State.
Rob, you first.
I think I'm going to go with Colorado. And you know what? This will be the one time this year that I'm going to put my faith into these kids. And if they burn me, I will never talk about this team ever again on this podcast. I'll take Colorado plus the points.
There is an athletic difference. Yes, I mean, you are right. I am going to take Colorado here strictly because there is a height and weight difference in between a big-time FBS program and a big-time FCS program. And if ND State had just made the move to FBS, I'd be like, I'm taking them all day. But I just can't pull that trigger. I'm so close to pulling that trigger. Can't do it. Colorado.
You
Close
have to remember it's also the first-year head coach of North Dakota State. Whoever they had to replace
he's been in that program, though.
I'm sure he has.
Yeah.
But then you also have to remember, first of all, there was a video. What was their record last year? Colorado's record?
4-8.
4-8. Okay, I wanted to make sure because again, I can't do math. We've adjusted that I can't do math, and I can't play football, and I can't read,
and you can't understand the college football playoff. Yeah,
and I can't understand the college football playoff. Sorry, 4. The most hyped 4-8 team ever was the video on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we have to remember they rebuilt that kind of hype, for lack of a better term. I feel like during this offseason for one reason or another. It's 8 p.m. night game on a Friday, so all the kids are going to be lit. Student section's going to be sold out. We remember the TCU game, so I just think it's going to be too much for Colorado. I think ND State's going to keep it close though. No reason, but we're all going to take Colorado. Okay.
Isn't it technically like a 6 p.m. kickoff for them?
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, that would be a 6 p.m. So it's not dark yet, but it will be dark by the end of it.
Money, please.
Okay. We got the locks of the weeks for you, baby. This is all bets. Please bet responsibly. Robert just realized he forgot to make his locks of the week, so he'll be doing this on the fly.
I just closed out what I had open, so now I gotta go back into it.
Control-Shift-T, baby. You're welcome. We already covered this on the podcast. That reopens all the tabs that you closed.
Or just
Okay.
go to my recents. Either way.
Either or. Here's the deal with the locks of the week. Unlike last year, where we just kind of did picks and we lost track and Carrie really beat us all, go follow us on 4th and 1 podcast on Instagram to see Kai's wife's Carrie make more picks and beat us all again this year. We're doing things a little bit differently this year. These are all bets that we've placed ourselves on whatever app that isn't paying us yet. And at the end, whoever got the most right, basically, pushes will be half a point. So 1 point for right, no points for 0, since Robert had some pushes last year.
Let's go.
We'll have to do a podcast in their underwear. Whoever loses.
Whoa. I was not told any of this part.
Dude, he's dropping this on me too right now.
Yep.
Whoa.
100%.
I mean, I get we want to go viral, and I get that, listen, understandably, yes, this peak performance body would 100% bring in the views, They might not be the views we want, though.
Let's do it. It's championship weekend. This will be regular season only. I've just decided this. So the championship weekend podcast, one of us will be in our underwear. So make sure you stick around for that.
So, and you get half a point for a push.
Half a point for a push. Yeah.
Okay.
This is where it's terrible because you guys know I do terrible at this because I was terrible last year.
You weren't that bad last year. I think actually you ended.
I was pretty bad.
You won because you ended up coming back because championship week saved you. But do you? So who's starting?
Micaiah, go
Okay.
ahead. You got to pick 3. You have 5 here. You got to pick 3.
Oh, so it's 3 per week. We've
It's
decided
3 per
on
week.
3. Okay,
Yeah.
3 per week. And can it be any 3 games, or does it have to be one game that no one cares about?
Oh, Micaiah, I love you so much right now. This was his idea, and it is a great idea. Okay? You are both beautiful, okay? I love it.
Oh,
One game a week that no one cares about every week. We're going to see Robert's beautiful body on championship week on the pod. So one game that nobody cares about.
Okay. So I'm going to get things started, and I'm going to go to the swamp. And I am going to go to Miami, and I'm going to go to Florida, and I'm going to say the over of 53.5 is going to hit. I think Cam Ward coming in, Graham Mertz, Florida is going to want to get off to a hot start. This just kind of screams 28-31, which would be 50. Whatever that is, 59, so that's too high, but still I think it hits the over of 53. I just like how this game sets up, especially with Florida being at home. I'm gonna go with them.
Oof. Sorry, I just realized what one of my teams was. Robert, go ahead.
No, these could be any games, correct? They didn't have to be from like the top 5. Okay.
Right,
Just making sure.
Any game.
So I divulged into the proverbial abyss of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go Michigan versus Fresno State. Fresno State they're a good team. They finished strong last year. Michigan a little banged up, not at full potential yet. Night game, so obviously it's going to be crazy. They're 21.5-point favorites. I'm going to say Fresno State keeps it within 17. So give me Fresno State plus 21.5.
Nice.
Okay. That's an interesting pick. I'm going to go to a game we already covered. Thank you, Micaiah. PSU West Virginia over 51.5. Both teams scoring 25 points. One of them has to score 26. 27. Yeah, I think that's possible. I think that's doable. I'm going to take that. I don't think it's going to be a defense battle in Morgantown. So I'm taking the over on the PSU WVU 51.5. Oh, and these odds are wherever we place the bets at. So, yeah.
Back to me. I think I have a lot of good ones here. I don't know whether to take Iowa State or North Dakota State. Or Iowa and Illinois. You know what? I'm going to go and dip in the well there out in Iowa in the middle of the corn. Iowa and Illinois. And the over-under is 40.5. Here's the deal. Iowa's only favored by like 29. So you're telling me that Illinois State's going to score 11? No. I'm not even sure Iowa's going to be able to score 30 in this game based on what we've all been hearing coming out of Iowa camp, which is Cade McNamara has just lost the ability to throw a football. So I'm going to take Iowa and Illinois State, and this goes my game that no one cares about, under 40.5 points.
You know, Texas versus Colorado State. We're about to find out if Texas is kind of like the real deal and if they're going to be consistent. Right now, they're a 32.5-point favorite. I do like that, but the over-under is 59.5. I mean, just for it, give me the over of 59.5. I like that. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored, mainly by Texas. Colorado State gets 14. Okay.
I know.
What did you take? Texas.
Texas, Colorado State over 59.5.
Over 59.5. Okay. This is the game that no one cares about, and it's up in Robert's territory. Actually, I have no idea. No, it's not. It's from a team that's up in Robert's territory. Bucknell in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, is getting
It's a nice
30.
stadium.
Huh?
It's actually a really nice stadium.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I was just looking at it. It's getting 33.5 points against a Navy team who averaged, I believe it was 12 points a game last year. So, yeah, I'm taking Bucknell plus 33.5. For those of you keeping track, which is none of you, because none of you followed Bucknell, they went 4-7 last year, 1-5 in conference. So I could be very, very wrong, but I'm taking the 33.5 for Bucknell.
Okay. My final game, I'm going to the land of Charlotte University, which I recently found out is actually North Carolina at Charlotte, but they go by Charlotte University. Listen, Biff Poggi is still there. That's his name, I'm pretty sure. Biff Poggi's still there, the head coach. JMU lost their head coach, plus their quarterback, plus their great defensive end, and Charlotte's getting 7 points. Give me the 49ers of Charlotte plus the 7 against JMU.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick right there. Roberto.
All right. Are you guys ready for this one?
I am.
All right. Liberty. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gets a home game against Campbell, the Fighting Camels.
Camels.
Fighting Camels. Yeah. Okay.
Go Humps.
Think about that for a minute.
That's good.
The Liberty is favored by 34.5 points. Over under is 55.5. I didn't even know Campbell had a football team.
I didn't even know Campbell was a school.
There's not even camels here. Give me the Liberty Flames to burn the Camels by a 34.5.
Pretty sure they have a returning senior, possibly redshirt senior.
So you're taking Liberty minus 34.5, just to be clear. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't know where Campbell is located or what they did last year. So
they got camels.
They got camels. Minnesota plus 1.5 against UNC. Yeah, I guess I'm calling the upset. I just realized this was my first pick. I don't know what I'm thinking. I think this is going to be a 3-point game, which is not 1.5 points. So I guess I'm taking Minnesota to upset UNC. I think down in Charlotte. Down in Chapel Hill of all places. So that is my third and final pick. Micaiah, yours are you're taking the under 40.5 for Iowa, Illinois State. That's a smart move. Over 53.5 for Miami, Florida. JMU plus 7.5. Charlotte plus 7.5 against JMU. Robert's taking Fresno plus 21.5. The over on the Texas-Colorado State game. And Liberty minus 34.5. I'm taking Minnesota basically to upset UNC. Bucknell 33.5 against Navy. And Pennsylvania State University, West Virginia University, 51.5 over. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make some money, those are your bets to make this. It's been a long one. Expect more. Hour and a half. Guys, it's week 1 of college football. We'll see you next week. Go Blue.
Go Blue. Wash your hands, you filthy animals.
I would tell you go Blue, but you already know what up.